Hey everyone, I'm back. Yeah, I know. I'm so sorry I took a little hiatus there, but I gotta say, after watching this episode, it is good to be back reviewing the anime. Like I don't know why, but just sitting down to watch this episode, it was just like it was just fun. It was a breath of fresh air kind of thing. Like I really enjoyed watching this episode, and again, don't know if it's the break or not, but yeah, and I. Now, I will say, I'm going to have to take another break because of some oddness with the next episode I'll get into in this review. But yeah, just overall, it's good to be back watching and reviewing the anime again, even though it's just for these last two episodes. But okay, right out of the gate, putting the anime reviews on hiatus just generally was a good call because this episode pretty much covers the entire battle against Shinagaku. And knowing this, it did raise an eyebrow for me of where the final episode is going to land in terms of bookending this core. And apparently TMS Entertainment did a little jumping around when they adapted the final episode. Apparently, at least from what I saw, it adapts chapters 72 to 74 like normal, but then it throws in a page from chapter 77 into the mix before ending it off on pages 13 to 17 of chapter 75. So, yeah, it's gonna, again, like, there's some weird gymnastics going on here, and it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out when I review that episode. But apparently, yeah, I do got a little more to read before I can review the last episode, unfortunately. In saying that, I don't know if it's just because I took a couple weeks away. Again, I don't know if it's just because I took a couple weeks away, but again, I really enjoy this episode way more than I did a lot of the other episodes I'd reviewed up until now. And I think, again, a lot of that is because a good first chunk of this episode is focused on the goat Kaji. And yeah, like I said in my reviews of the manga chapters that covered this episode, Kaji is truly an interesting case of how skill doesn't automatically equate to confidence. While it is shown clear as day throughout this episode as to why Kaji was a special recommendation, it's also true that the man is skilled. There's no doubt about that. However, it's also true that he is a walking time bomb of uncertainty and insecurity, like questioning everything and doubting himself and his instincts on more than one occasion. And more than anything, like it feels like it feel, I don't mean to insult anyone when I say this because I was a homeschool kid myself too, but Kaji himself, he does feel like a homeschool kid, someone who doesn't really who has the knowledge, but not maybe the experience of what it means to be an assassin, so to speak. Like more than, like it feels like he never developed that self-certainty and confidence, to just throw himself and to trust himself and to thrust himself into action when it was necessary. And for as simple and obvious as it is, I do like the idea of seeing everyone getting back up despite the danger on top of it being Shin to tell Kaji to just go wild and trust yourself, for Kaji to realize that what he was missing, and it does put into perspective just how much Shin himself has grown if he's the one telling someone else to just go wild. Like he himself has learned quite a bit from just this whole experience, and he because man, and go wild Kaji did, because man, that whole section of Kaji fighting Shinagaku was insane. And I like how with Kaji he goes, one thing that really gets shown off in this episode is his tactical thinking on top of his fighting skills. Like his fighting skills are good, but his tactical thinking are what really makes him a threat, and just how well that from combined with being able to work off of Shin, like seeing Shin and Kaji team up and seeing their dynamic the entire time during that fight was a genuine highlight of this episode for me. Now, with that said, there is an elephant in the room to talk about with this episode. And it's not an animation flub or technical issue, it's a narrative thing that got on my nerves with this series in general. So this is a problem with the manga as well, which is that as Kaji's about to go wild, we see it cut back temporarily to Taro and Akira briefly, like in the woods, and it's really just, and this whole scene in itself was very short, and it's just a way to show Taro getting the bad feeling that something's going on with Shin, and for him it was that kind of inciting incident for him to later rush to the battlefield at the end of the episode, near the end of the episode. But that's not the problem I have with this scene for me. The problem with this scene for me is it shows clear as day that Taro got a free pass from telling Akira about Rion. Either that or he told her a big fat lie. But in either case, it's this is one of those, it's one of those things that, but regardless of what, it just shows that, yeah, yes, Taro has withheld information from basically Akira at this point. And this is, and this is one of those things where it's a trope I am becoming, this is one of those things where it's highlighting a trope I'm becoming more and more annoyed with, which is holding out the truth until the right time and right place to reveal it, aka reveal it when the drama is at its highest. And it's a problem in a lot of media, don't get me wrong, but it's a problem right now I'm very specifically having with with anime and manga, where they tease us with a big reveal but pull back on revealing anything until, guess what, the person who's being lied to or is having the information withheld from them finds out at the worst possible circumstance. Just why, I'm sorry, like this whole, it's one of those things that, especially in this case, is really pissing me off. And I think the reason why I'm angry at it in this specific case is because Sakamoto Days feels like a series that, while it is a shonen series and it does do a lot of the shonen tropes, it also feels like a series that is beyond that specific trope. But because Suzuki still felt he had to show the internal conflict of Taro knowing the truth, and having to face up to his past by even meeting Akira, then it felt like he found himself in that position where he had to drag on the reveal even for even longer. And it feels pointless in order to keep. I'm sorry, it doesn't matter what you're trying to do or what you're trying to show with Taro, like having this internal conflict in himself in regards to what happened in his past. It's one of those things where I understand, but I really wish this was the series that threw that whole idea out the window and said, okay, no secrets, I'm gonna tell her everything. It felt like, more than anything, it feels like Akira is someone Taro could have confided in, but they chose the most obvious route not to. I don't know, it's kind of just annoying. It's just annoying me how much this trope is popping up, how much this trope pops up nowadays, I guess. In saying that, obviously, though, the episode ends with Taro arriving and absolutely wrecking Shania Gaku. Although, like I said with my manga review of this fight, I do like how, even though it was mostly one-sided, Gaku still did get some decent hits in, and it is kind of one of those moments that makes you wonder that although one of the more subtle, overarching themes of the series has been natural talent versus artificial ability, it does make you wonder if one of these days we will see that turning point where Uzuki stumbles upon just the right answer of what it will take in order to defeat the ultimate assassin, Taro Sakamoto, which, yeah, on the more obvious note, this was definitely an episode that showcased how much Taro is this world's Superman. You really only call on him when the situation gets out of control, and he arrives just in time when he's needed and needed the most. And I'll say this much, the episode across the board, I feel, had some of the most fluid animation I've seen in the show thus far. Probably even the best I've seen between both cores. I'm trying to think back on cores 1 and even earlier in core 2, and I think the only one that might compare to this is the fight against the park, but that's really the only one I can think of. This was probably, again, the best episode out of this entire whole season 1, honestly. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Find me on Blue Sky, Analyst Crunchyroll. Be sure to hit the subscribe button, and just shut it around, guys. Dark Knight of the Night signing off. Later, everyone.